All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another social media masterclass. My name is Renee Tompkins, Director of Social Media for Lair Realty. And today we're going to be going over your social media mastery plan for 2026. This class, let me just tell you, is going to be jam-packed. So you are definitely going to want to take some notes. You're going to want to capture some of these screens with your phone. Um, and then perhaps follow up with me on Happy Agent to maybe even schedule your own one-on-one to customize a plan for your 2026 social media. Today's agenda, we're going to be going over the strategies and mindsets to get you more consistent so that you can increase your conversion on social media. We're going to talk about why this upcoming year is pivotal for digital presence. Uh, and to really get into smarter people. People spend a lot of time on social media. So I think, and there's a lot of realtors out there. So we're going to talk about ways that you can really stand out and differentiate yourself. We're going to get into a full business blueprint. And really, again, this is a high level class. We're going to be focused on building your business for an epic 2026 by way of social media. So a lot of what's going to be talked about will be stepping out of your comfort zone. So, um, and again, today's expectations, as always, is to maintain that growth mindset. I want you to be open to making results-based changes in your business. Again, this is for people looking to grow. So we're looking, we're going to push you out of your comfort zone. I encourage you to take notes and interact by asking questions and sharing, as well as to challenge yourself to develop your own social media success strategy. So we're real, again, this is probably going to be about an hour long and we're going to go through a lot. So be prepared to take some good notes and also don't hesitate to ask questions. Let's get into why social media matters more than ever. First of all, let's just say it's where people are hanging out. I don't know anybody. I do know people that take a break from social media. I certainly do. But I honestly don't know anybody that's not on social media, even if they only go on once a month or whatever. Um, Pretty much every single person I know is on some platform, if not several. So let's agree that digital behavior continues to rise. Clients research agents before contacting them. If they, m- many people know agents, but not everybody wants to do business with people they know. I know that in my own neighborhood, when I lived in Tewksbury, I had a neighbor list with another brokerage. We had, a neighbor relationship. She knew I was a realtor, but she just wasn't comfortable doing business with someone she knew. And she did tell me that. She's like, I don't, she gave me a heads up. She's like, I don't want you to be upset when you see this, when you see the listing go live. And I said, I totally respect that because I've also had on the other side of that, I've had many people reach out to me and tell me, my niece is a realtor or somebody in their family or their neighbor's a realtor. And for various reasons, they chose to go elsewhere with their business. So anyway, social media creates familiarity, it creates trust and authority long before the consultation. And I'm going to give you some unique strategies that I'm practicing that are bringing business. So I want this is going to be a great class for people that are looking for some different strategies too. Real estate decisions are emotional, 100% emotional, and social presence shapes that perception. I want to just share a really we just bought our own house here, and I was like choked up at the closing, like, man, there really is such an emotional process to buy or sell. I mean, I was sad the day we closed on our home in Tewksbury. When we did the final walkthrough with the buyer, we handed over the keys. Um, we had a little bit of a different situation. We did a lease back, and then the final walkthrough didn't happen until after closing. But I handed over those keys and I was choked up. I was like, wow, this is it. 15 years we were in this house. So it's emotional. Don't don't overlook that with your clients. And then online presence now precedes reputation. And I'm going to share some thoughts with you in this class that might be huge eye openers for you. Here's one of those thoughts. Some clients will think if you cannot consistently and effectively market your own business, How will you represent me? So think about every time that you are on social media. And again, I say this in almost every class, so it's not new news. But think about every one of your connections. You know, you're walking into a room. Every time you log on to social media, envision yourself walking into a room of whatever your number of connections you have, 300, 700, 3,000, whatever it is. That is the number of people in that room when you open the door. You have an opportunity every time to connect with every one of those people on a certain level, right? So think about the opportunity that exists with social media. This is before social media. What were we doing to grow our business? We were geo farming. We were doing the basics. We were hosting open houses. And I'm not saying not to do any of those things. Absolutely continue to do them. But social media, what that did was give everyone a huge opportunity to connect with people. Um, it minimal to no expense, right? Except your time. So it's amazing. All right, so let's get into the 2026 mindset shift. I want you to shift from focusing on trends to focusing on relationships. Remember, behind every single profile is a person. Stop chasing virality. That means, those vanity metrics where we focus on likes, we focus on followers. Um, it's not about that. It's about the relationship. Similarly, would you walk into that same room that I just described a minute ago and just stand around in a group of people and not interact and have conversations with them? So focus on becoming memorable to the right people. Treat content as part of your customer experience, not an optional marketing task. So we're going to talk more about time blocking and more mindset shifts for social media in 2026. But one of the major mindset shifts that I would like you to focus on is the shift from I have to post or I should post to wow, I get to do this because every month you get branded content, dynamic branded, timely content delivered to your inbox. And you can go and, so all of this content is already done for you. You can even take it a step further and you can, with the editable links, you can customize it as you like. But you can go back and use some of that old content for video content. A lot of people say, I'm in a rut. I don't know what to post for video content. You have a year's worth of social media content with captions. Go back into some of them and say, okay, how can I spin this and make it into a video, a short video? And let's talk about your social media North Star and the importance of defining exactly who you want to attract. I see a lot of agents um, that have a lot of agents following them on Instagram or Facebook, and that's all good. I think that it's important to maintain great relationships with realtors. So I don't say not to do that, but I would also encourage you to remember who you're going after, who it is that you want to attract, right? If you want to build your business by way of referrals, then connecting with a lot of out-of-state realtors is certainly not a bad way to go. I have many connections with out-of-state realtors on Instagram, and I love seeing their content. And it does actually give you a sense of, their confidence level, what they're doing in their business. So I agree that that's a good strategy. However, that should not be the bulk of the people that you are connecting with on social media. Instagram will assume that you want to be connected with agents because you are an agent. So you have to actually teach Instagram that by following other people besides agents, that you have interest in other things. So for instance, landscapers, title companies, attorneys, small business owners. We'll talk about that in a bit. Um, but again, you want to define who it is that you want to attract, and you can teach social media to show you more of those people by following, again, yes, I would say a small group of realtors, but let's remember who we're looking to attract. Um, And then set up platform goal, awareness, leads, authority, or community. Remember that you don't have to spread yourself too thin on social media. You don't have to be on every platform. I'm not on every platform. I'm on the platforms that I really want to be and enjoy being on. And then ask yourself, what is your brand mission for 2026? So you are a brand. You as a realtor are a brand. Whether your brand is trust, whether it's advocacy, representation, and then I would say write one sentence for your brand mission. You will be shooting out everywhere unless you can define and narrow yourself in, and then you can build your content around that. So write a one sentence brand mission for your business. That would be one challenge I would ask you to do. And then let's say build real connections that actually convert. And I think this is where a lot of agents get off track, is they don't convert on social media. So let me share a couple of quick stories with you. When I started growing my real estate business, I had already been on social media for a bit and had some really good connections, but I did not grow up in the town that I was looking to practice in. Um, I didn't go to high school in Massachusetts at all. I went to high school in New Jersey. So I didn't have that like deep level of sphere of influence, connections, childhood, any of that. And a lot of my friends were realtors. So I had to think, okay, I really do have to build my business from the ground up. And one of the opportunities I saw was in social media. As I was budgeting for my year, I was thinking, okay, gosh, geo farm mailings, those aren't cheap. Open houses was a huge opportunity for me because my investment was my time and maybe, some other small things. But so how I built my business primarily was on social media. I did a fair amount also from open houses. But where I saw the opportunity in social media was in not just stating facts, but sharing stories and connecting with people because I saw behind every single profile was a person. And so I started to time block to make a point to connect with that sphere group of people on social media by way of sending them DMs or commenting on their posts, inviting them to an event or whatever. And I always made time to follow up with a handwritten note if I had their address, or I would ask them for it. So remember, conversations do lead to conversions, especially on social media. I can 100% attest that this is the case because oftentimes after sharing an impactful story, I would get DMs. One of those DMs um, was from a future client who said, I am not ready to sell my house today, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that when I do list, you will be listing my house. And yes, I did list their home. It sold in the sevens. It was not actually in my area, but they had such a deep level of trust in me. I was at least an hour outside their area. So that was, a way that I was able to share. I was sharing stories and it led to conversion. So I can 100% attest to you on this. And then build strategic engagement with people who live in your target area. Even if you're a new agent like I was, I didn't know anybody in my target area that wasn't a realtor. So again, I made more meaningful connections in my community. I started going to town meetings. I started frequenting businesses and asking them if I could share my great experience on social media. So I would do videos of businesses that I loved. I would interview the business owner. We'll get more into those strategies, but again, I was building strategic engagement. And then I would ask them, can we connect on social? I'd love to stay connected. And then create a DM culture where people feel safe reaching out. And I want you to normalize this DM culture by sharing it in your story. Sharing to say, I recently was, corresponding with a former high school classmate, and we ended up, she direct messaged me, and we ended up meeting for coffee, and then here we are at the closing table. So again, every time you're sharing a story, if there was any type of direct messaging going on, share that, normalize it so that people feel like, well, I can reach out. She won't be so bothered by, my DMing her. And then engagement should be intentional, not random. So we'll talk about time blocking in just a second, but I'm going to give you some steps to help you with time blocking. If you're new to time blocking, there's a strategy that I follow that helps me. And so now I time block several times during the week. I don't time block for everything, but when I am in a time block, I do set myself up for success, and I'll share my strategies with you in a minute. But I want you to time block weekly to cultivate the habit of intentional engagement. And so this again means looking at social media as part of business building, the same way you would look at open houses, the same way you would look at geofarm mailings, the same way you would look at going to a networking event. Those are all business building activities. So isn't social media. So let's get into time blocking tips. Again, these are tips that I follow that work for me and that have made me very successful at time blocking. One is identify your task. Don't ever go into a time block not knowing what it is that you want to achieve. So list what you need to do for the week and decide which is those tasks that should be time blocked and which are those tasks that should just be to-do lists. To-dos are things that can get done here, there, and as long as they're done, get them on your to-do list. But there are certain things that need to have intentionality that need to be time blocked for. So identify those tasks and then create a schedule for your blocks. So, and here's what I'll say, use a planner, use a digital calendar, whatever works best for you. I don't say that one is better than the other. I think what's best is the method that you use. Um, Personally, I have my paper calendar and that's what I use, but I don't buy a big bulky planner because I find that um, those things they're just too bulky to bring around. So I have something very light and manageable. My tip to you is to time block in the morning or whenever you feel you are least likely to get interrupted. Um, that says most likely, but it should be least likely. So you don't want to be interrupted. So even if that means that you are scheduling content at 11 o'clock at night for the next morning, if that's when you are least likely to get interrupted, that is when you should do it. For me, that is very early mornings before I even start my workday. Let people know you're in a time block. So here's another thing. If your kids are home or your spouse is, working from home also, and that he or she tends to be super chatty, zip it. You are in a time block. I even have a sign that says, I got a do not disturb sign off of Amazon a long time ago, and I still use it. So, but I tell everybody, guys, I'm on a time block for the next 3 hours or whatever I'm working on, and then ask for support. So this is when you feel like maybe you're struggling. Maybe you struggle with a time block. Uh, Tell people I'm struggling. I need your help. I need you to not disturb me. I know that, unless the house is burning down, unless there's a true emergency, it can wait. And then here's my other tip is to start small. Yes, I'm doing like 3 to 4 hour chunks at this point, but when I first started time blocking, I started at 15 minutes because I wanted to test myself. I didn't want to set myself up for failure. I wanted to say, okay, I know I can get 15 minutes. So now let's do 30. So start small and then also work to minimize your distractions. Never go into a time block with, your cell phone right in front of you if you know that's a distraction, unless you need the cell phone for the actual task. Uh, Anything else, shut the door, right? Shut the blind if whatever it is that would distract you, minimize those things. And then I say give yourself grace if you are falling short, if you are not, if you're struggling, um, give yourself grace and don't label yourself as being bad at time blocking because the minute you start that label, you have now given yourself an out and you have a justification for not doing it anymore because you're bad at it and that's it. You're not doing it. So let's not go there. Watch the negative self-talk, be aware of it, and give yourself grace and go at it again. Do another 15 minutes. Hey, if you have to start as small as 5 minutes, go for that. But don't give up and then keep building on it when you feel you're ready to. There's no rule that says you have to go from 15 to 30. You can go 15 and stay at 15 for a month before you go to 20. You know what I mean? So there's just no rules, is what I'm saying, other than don't give up. All right, let's talk about the psychology of connection. Uh, I always say that it really starts with trust. So people follow agents who feel human and approachable, who are authentic. Um, I will say if you sound super scripted or you're overpromising, everything's perfect in my world. I always get people to the closing table. No one ever has any bumps in my world. Um, you know, yes, you might attract some people. I'm not saying that, but authenticity goes a long way too. So overselling does break trust where storytelling builds it. We'll talk some more about storytelling strategies. There's some great topics in this class, so you're going to want to take some photos with your phone. Consistency signals reliability. Remember what I said a few minutes ago. If you can't consistently market your own business, clients may feel, how will you represent me? Think about that. So here's some ideas of posts that emotionally connect. Again, authentically sharing successes, but also touch on what went wrong, right? Doing a client uh, series. If you have a first-time home buyer who's young and they like super excited about the process, ask them, just say, hey guys, would you be willing to take part in a client video series with me? I'm gonna, just sort of showcase some of maybe the homes we've seen and get your take on the process. You can share them individually and then again tie them into each other now on Instagram, which is great. And so I think those things have such a weight. I will tell you, I had a gentleman reach out to me here. He saw my reviews on Google and then from Google watched one of my YouTube videos and reached out to me. And we just closed him, I want to say 3 weeks ago. So people are watching you online. Again, another posts that connect emotionally are problem solving content. We're going to talk about how to frame the perfect problem solving, the perfect storytelling on a problem solving level, and then emotional storytelling. This is whenever I have shared an authentic story, I'm telling you, and I don't do it with the intent of getting business, but it just seems to attract business because people see you as human. So there's magic there. All right, let's talk about connection over clout. I see a lot of agents, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 followers, uh, but they don't get a lot of business from social media. So that's a vanity metric, that thing that I call that. Somebody who's very focused on the numbers, but not really on the connection. So a small engaged audience will outperform a large quiet one every single time. Full stop. Niche content leads to stronger loyalty because it shows that you are a specialist, that you can be trusted, that you have invested in education and and I'm not saying that you shouldn't also appeal to the masses because, again, you can't be too niched, but I do agree that marketing yourself for a specific niche is important. And then community-driven comments signal authority. If there are Facebook groups in your area, Tewksbury homeowners, Tewksbury, Drake it, whatever, get into those groups. Absolutely. Even if they're just foodie groups, that's where people are. And then share what's happening in your town. If you become aware of events that are happening in your town, new construction communities, business grand openings, any type of business event, they might be hosting their own open houses, etc. Even if you become aware of a tax reassessments, this is what's happening in your town. So be that authority. Super important when building a local name for yourself. Let's take a break. let's, let's have a sip of tea. All right, let's get into shifting from chasing clients to attracting them. I am all about energy and mindset. Super, super important. I think that a lot of people chase the classes, chase, got to get the next book, got to do this. And yeah, I'm not saying that you absolutely should be educating yourself, and that's super important. But if you think that doing that alone will get you the business, it won't. It will get you information, but you've got to then shift your energy into an attraction mode. Attraction marketing means clients come to you because your content answers their needs. You are seen as the trusted source. Trust compounds when your content teaches, guides, and empowers. So I'll give you some tips here. And these are some of the out of the box things that we're doing that are building business. One thing you can build a concierge program. We did this in Tewksbury, and the way it works is you simply partner with companies that already have a program that your clients will need. So one of those things is a home warranty program. You can get with AHS or American Home Shield. Is that AHS? I don't even know. But any of those warranty programs that you know about or feel relatively comfortable, get with the rep and just say, listen, I'd love to feature your program as part of my offerings to clients. Now, does that mean that you have to offer a home warranty to every single person? No. But just by offering these things in your guides, in your presentation, it means that you are a full service and would be seen as more trusted, more together, right? So build a client concierge program. You can do the home warranty. You can do a blanket loan, a bridge loan. Get with a lender who you know that does. Again, will everybody use that service? No. But just by offering it, you are seen as more credible, as more full service. Another one you can have is staging and cleaning, home prep. Get with your home organizers, your home cleaners, and brand it. Come up with a name for these programs. The client concierge is like the big umbrella, but within that umbrella, here are the programs, right? And so list them out and think, and so really when you think about a client concierge, it's all about problem solving. How can you become the problem solver for your clients? Think over the last 3 to 5 years, some of the problems that have come up. And if you had a program to offset that, then so you're branding it as your client concierge program, but really these are existing. And you could put, you obviously have to put your tagline down the bottom in the small print services. You get with Happy Agent to find out if there's any type of verbiage on the website or flyers that you need or anything like that. But really, it's just a referral. You're referring to your business partners. I would even go so far as to not only put it on your website, but have a flyer built so that every time you have a coffee date, you're letting people know about it. Have it in your buyer and seller guides. Make it a big thing. And then as you bring new partners into your concierge, kick it off. Make it like a big event, whether it's just virtual or in person. Do a video interview with them and welcome them to the concierge program. We'd like to talk today to ABC Moving or whoever, you know what I mean? So these are, again, think of all those companies that can help make your client's experience an A+ experience. These are the people you're looking to bring into your client concierge program. Another service that I would like you to consider is a complimentary home review program. This is something that, again, it can be as little or as big as you choose to make it, but you can market it on social media. You can also have a flyer designed so that that you are presenting it to every single person that you're having coffee with. You're mailing it to your sphere. You're emailing it out to your database. You're mailing it out to your geofarm. And what the complimentary home review program means, it's really like a peace of mind home review. Call it whatever you want. But basically what it's an invitation for anybody thinking about selling, even if they're 3 years out. to get in front of you, you go over to give them low to no cost updates on how to showcase the home in a better light so it appeals to more buyers. So you're giving them low cost tips on how to improve the home and get it ready for sale. Like I said, even if it's a few years out, because then what that does is it gets you in front of that seller before any other realtor. And now it's up to you to stay in touch and follow up. Handwritten notes, email touches, phone calls. How's it going? I'd like to come over and see, you know what I mean? So, and let me say something else about people hesitating to reach out. Because this is a thing, and I will talk about this in a few minutes, but I think agents hesitate to reach out in a systematic and consistent way because they think, oh my God, are you kidding? I don't want to bother this person like this. First of all, remember, you will be perceived in your follow-up as professional, someone who's doing their job. Even if the person doesn't pick up for like the 12 calls that you have given them, they will call you back when they're ready. Most people are like that. I was like that with a lender that I had out here. Called him back when I was ready. Did he call me every like few weeks to check in? Yep, I got voicemail, 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 voicemail. But he was doing his job, right? And so that's what I want you to remember. Don't judge yourself by how you might feel. Pretend that every single person that you're reaching out to is a sales coach, testing you on your sales skills. That's what I want you to, the mind trick that I would like you to play with yourself. When you go to call Betty Smith and follow up with her for the sixth time because she hasn't picked up the last five times, remember you're being tested. And if all you keep doing is leaving a voicemail, trust that when Betty Smith is ready to list, you were the most consistent. I have gotten business that way, and I know it works. So please don't minimize the importance of being consistency or being consistent. So again, this home review flyer, again, this program, concierge program, it can be as big or as small as you want it to be. Check your mindset about it. And we're going to talk about what it looks like to go all in later in the class. Just a quick touch on the lighthouse analogy. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands steady, visible, and reliable, guiding people safely to shore. You don't chase clients or push sales. You show up consistently. You do your job. And part of your job is developing a success strategy for social media. I'm telling you, it was at least a third of my yearly business every year. You don't need to chase. You just need to shine clearly, consistently, and have a purpose. And then to take it into real estate, educational posts are the light of the lighthouse. Consistency is the visibility, and authentic guidance is the safety. So when the storm hits, life changes, divorces, death, market shifts, they will come to you. All right, let's talk about authority building in 2026. Taking another sip of tea. All right. Answer client questions before they ask them. So this is, and I'm going to share with you a strategy that you can easily get into with video content in just a minute. Showcase expertise through education, clarity, and transparency. So this is more about being authentic. Not everything is puppies and rainbows, as I say. This is the real life of real estate. It's okay to share some bumpy roads, some bumpy transactions. Let's showcase how you solved it. Tell stories that show the process and professionalism and authority building phrase starters. Let's get into some of those. Probably want to take a photo of this. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but these are some authority building phrase starters that you can use when creating video content. A common mistake I help my clients avoid is buyers are responding most positively to market conditions suggest we should. So here are just a couple of them. I'll give you a second to snap that. All right. Let's talk about the trust triangle. This is a great, you should write this down and keep it on your laptop or your computer as a way to sort of frame your content. Consistency shows reliability. So this is the follow-up where I'm saying, yeah, you called Betty Smith 6 times. Don't give up. The average person connects with a sales representative, believe it or not, after 18 times. The average person will let the text or let the voicemail go and won't actually respond until after 18 times. So that's huge. Remember that stat. Credibility, proven results, stats, and client stories. This is how you build the trust triangle. And then relatability is all about authenticity, being human, not perfect, progress over perfection. I have it somewhere. I've got this huge, um, here it is, progress over perfection. Um, I love this stuff. It's because it's 100% spot on and true. All right. Branding that works in 2026. Let's get into personal brands. Because again, you are a brand. I think that we forget that. We forget the power that we have over our own business. Personal brands win because people choose people. This is true. Create brand pillars that make your content predictable but fresh. So when you're saying, okay, I don't know what to post for video content, go back to remember, market stats, tips, and then stuff in your area. Show your life strategically. Buyers want to know the human behind the service. So start to share, your favorite restaurant, your family photos, how you decorated the tree, or you taking the tree down, maybe some tips on how to better organize post-holiday stuff. So let's get into brand pillars that work. One is trust and integrity. And some content ideas are honest market insights, realistic expectations. So this is where we're not talking everything's perfect. And contracts explained simply, and also testimonials showing proof. Another brand pillar that works is educational and expertise. So some content ideas are tips, market updates, what no one tells you posts, and neighborhood breakdowns, what's happening in a specific area. Another pillar that works is advocacy and guidance, and some content suggestions are negotiation wins that you had, maybe how you beat the Zestimate, behind the scenes advocacy process walkthroughs. Maybe you were at a final walkthrough and found the seller left didn't even clear out the crawl space underneath. And, you talk about that and how you ended up doing a holdback and protecting the buyer and all that. Community knowledge and local expertise. Uh, some content ideas are spotlights of things happening in your community, local businesses, school info, etc. And the last pillar I would suggest are results and value. And this is your soul. This is factual. Up front is your sold stats, but share the fact, the graphic fact, but then talk about the emotion, tell the story. Before and after listings, perhaps you had a home staged, and even if it was virtual staging, which by the way you can get you for free on ChatGPT. Let me just give you a quick side tip on that. I see a lot of staged photos through virtual staging, and it looks out of skew for me. Be very specific when sending over your prompt to ChatGPT, like the type of furniture you would like, the wall color you would like. Like really, you've got to pour it in there. Anyway, little side tangent. And return on investment discussions. So, like for instance, your peace of mind home review program, the fact that you can come out and give someone some tips is to not overspend on, maybe they don't need to put in a brand new kitchen. Uh, Maybe just a nice island would do, and some refinishing on the cabinets. So just some tips there on content pillars. Let's talk about your 2026 content identity. Uh, Lair has their brand colors, and I always recommend sort of going with the brokerage colors, because then you might have too many colors going on. So, or something that is very complementary to the brand colors. But certainly take a look, and you should pick something that you love and that vibes with you. So that consists of the colors, the fonts, and the style, as well as your tone, whether you're, educational, friendly, direct, humorous, down to earth, to the point, whatever your vibe is. And then the themes, your local expertise, your lifestyle, your market insights, your small business shout outs, all that. So let's talk about the content pivot for the new year. Uh, Traditional listing posts are less effective, meaning, just listed. What I would like to see more of is, hey, if I was a home buyer looking in Billerica, this is the house I'd buy if, and then, talk about the situation that would vibe best with that listing. Um, People want authenticity, personalization, and clarity. They don't want you all over the place. Because I think as realtors, again, that comes down to defining what it is your brand mission is. What is your brand mission for 2026? Incorporate personal lifestyle stories too. Just don't inundate people with all real estate stuff. I mean, I think everybody that is on my friends list, for the most part, knows I'm in real estate. On my personal page, I don't really post a lot of a lot of real estate stuff. I keep that on my real estate page, but I'm not saying that that's what you should do. I'm just saying you should incorporate. You should absolutely incorporate. If you go to my professional pages, you will also see pictures of my grandson, some books that I'm reading, uh, some pictures of the house we just bought, etc. So. Content buckets for agents. Again, we want educational. So this is your market updates, your tips, your staging, all that. Community, local highlights, small business features, etc. And then personal, behind the scenes, day in the life, vacation, family, out to dinner, all that. Let's talk about some high converting post types for the new year. Now you are getting some dynamic carousel posts in your social media every week. Or every month rather. In each, it's broken down by week, and then each week I do try to include at least one carousel post. And you download it as a zip file, you double click to open the zip, and then all the images are in there, and then you just drag them in. So carousels are performing because they force the reader to continue to see more. So they're engaging with that post. So that's why you're getting more carousel posts, to increase your engagement. Another high converting post is short form videos. This is, short and sweet, get to the point, makes it easy for people to watch you from start to finish. Nobody wants to sit in front of a video, thinking, let me just get the tip. What's the tip? And they're still sitting there 6 minutes in trying to figure out what the tip was. So get to it, short and sweet. Story sequential. So that means that you are, posting to your stories feed in a sequence so that people will continue to stay on your story. So, and then let's get into the 5E content framework. Another screen that I think you should definitely take a photo of or write down these 5Es. Keep them in front of you. One is educate, which is explaining the local trends happening in your local market. The second is entertain, so relatable humor or storytelling, which means you are authentic, right? People should see your personality 100%. And then another is to engage. So you can do that by asking questions, using polls, DMs, comments, engage. Remember, don't walk into that room of 500 followers or 700 followers and stand against the wall and not say anything. Behind every single profile is a person, so engage with them. Empower, give people clarity about decisions. Your job is to empower people with the information they need so they can make the best decisions about their upcoming move. Uh, that could be a tagline. And then endear, show personality, always authenticity. Show who you are. You don't have to appeal to everybody, so don't feel like you have to be rigid, right? You're not going to be for everybody, but the right people. This is where it comes down to attracting again. You're not going to attract anybody if you try to be for everybody. So you have to be authentic and align with who you are. And when you align with that energy, I'm telling you, the magnet will come out. All right. Let's master short form video. It's all about the hook. You got to hook them in within 1 to 3 seconds. What makes a strong hook? It calls out a specific pain point. It creates curiosity. It feels conversational, not scripted. So here's some examples of real estate hooks. One is most buyers don't realize this until it's too late. Well, I would want to know what that is. If you're waiting for rates to drop, watch this. And here's what no one will tell you about buying a home. So I've started incorporating, I've started this a while back, hooks in your social media content. So you'll notice an increase in, engagement on that. But again, you've got to take your video, you've got to take your real estate strategy to the next level. If all you're posting is the layer content, I would give you a high five for doing that and getting consistent with that. But the next step is to start really with video content and peppering in videos contents or videos at least at the bare minimum once a week. That's bare minimum. So remember the rule, if the viewer doesn't know why to keep watching immediately, they probably won't. All right. Remember to deliver value quickly. And you do this by sharing one idea per video. So you're not going to paint the whole, you're not going to give the whole lesson on one video. You've got to break it up. And maybe you're talking about escalation clauses in a video. You want to maybe in the first video define what it is. The second video, why you should use it or when you should use it, maybe when it doesn't work. So, you can break them up. You don't have to explain the whole thing in one video. High performing value formats, one quick tip video, one myth debunked, one mistake to avoid, and one market insight explained simply. Here's a mindset shift to definitely take in. You're not trying to impress. You're trying to help. And I think if you can develop that mindset of coming from contribution instead of the vanity metrics that says, oh, I only got 6 views or I only got 60 views, shut that down. If you have contributed to the growth of your business by way of providing value on social media, by way of connecting on social media, then you, regardless of the result, you are growing your business. Keep doing it. All right, and then end with a clear CTA. Effective CTAs are, number one, simple, relevant to the video, and low pressure. So I have a script that I always use. I develop my script for calls to action, and I use that as I wrap up my videos. So some examples would be follow me for more real estate tips, save this for later, DM me if you're thinking about buying or selling. Never assume the viewer knows what to do next. You have to tell them. And as you start to use your calls to action more consistently on video, you're going to find that you're even saying them at open houses. Oh, I'd love to connect with you. It just starts to become a script, but it doesn't sound like a script. That's the difference. All right, let's talk about the Instagram strategy for 2026. Reels bring new eyes. So again, that's video. Carousels builds authority. You're getting those in your monthly layer social media. Stories build connection and conversion. And story series build engagement, leading to further connection. So it's all about reels, carousels, stories, and story series on Instagram. That's your 2026 Instagram strategy. TikTok strategy. Local content is king. Use trending sounds strategically and educate in fast, digestible nuggets. So again, don't try to spill all the beans in one video. It's short and sweet. Facebook strategy for 2026. Local groups remain high conversion spaces. So if you're not part of a local, foodie group, residence group, any kind of group that's happening in your local town, you're missing out. Storytelling posts encourage shares. Storytelling, I'm telling you, is epic. Long format content builds emotional resonance. So if you are going on about, a story, again, depending, I wouldn't do it all the time, but certainly. And then Facebook, keep in mind, Facebook is still number one for certain demographics. A lot of people I know are just on Facebook. They're not on Instagram, or if they have an Instagram, they rarely are on it. But a lot of other people I know love Instagram and TikTok and all that. So, YouTube strategy for 2026, evergreen content drives leads for years. Hyperlocal videos rank easily. Shorts typically get more views. I can say that's 100% fact. Long form builds deep trust, though. So, again, this could be an interview, this could be a deeper educational, maybe a webinar type. Um, you should have a mix of both, absolutely. LinkedIn strategy for agents. Let me just say, virtual networking net is happening on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with local professionals in your area, you must be more active and consistent on LinkedIn. We'll talk about this in next month's masterclass. This is perfect for attracting professionals relocating or just living in your area. Commentary performs well. Business storytelling establishes credibility, and don't ignore DMs on Instagram, on LinkedIn. That is a normal way to communicate on LinkedIn. So absolutely get more active on LinkedIn, reconnect on LinkedIn if you haven't for a bit. Let me give you a lead funnel framework. If you want visibility, post reels. If you want engagement, comments, saves, and shares. If you want trust, carousels, stories, definitely YouTube. This is what I'm saying, especially Google and YouTube, they are one. So you have to get on YouTube if you want, if you want to be front and center. People are searching for realtors, in my opinion, primarily on Google, on Zillow, and then on social media. Zillow and social media are probably tied. Um, and then conversion, consistency. Again, if people will see, if you can't market your own business, how will you represent them? DMs and calls to action. How to drive leads without being pushy. Provide value first and see yourself as a value provider. See yourself as this great agent. Who wouldn't benefit from a five-star professional in their corner? So until you see yourself that way, you won't attract the client that you're looking for. If you see yourself as pushy, if you see yourself as having to do it, and you're inconsistent, and we're going to talk about being all in a few minutes, but I'm telling you, um, don't be a pitch. Come from contribution and actually see yourself as providing value. Don't take things personally when people don't respond. They're just not ready yet. Or if they're going to deal with somebody else, they'll tell you. I'm just saying, but don't take anything personal either. Here's some conversational CTA examples. If you want to talk through your options, my DM is open. Message me if you want help. Happy to answer questions, etc. All right, let's talk about some more calls to action that work in 2026. Tell me your zip code and I'll send a custom update. Want a home ready checklist? DM me ready. Save this now, thank me later. All sound phenomenal. DM strategies to convert followers into clients is start with a question and then mirror their communication style, which is, their cadence, their if you have them actually talking, but if you're actually just DMing, I would say, kind of if they're casual, then you casual. Follow up every 48 hours professionally. Again, doing your job. You want to be seen as someone who has systems in place, consistency. Don't take their lack of response as a lack of interest. It just means they're not ready yet. Unless they tell you, Renee, I don't want you to message me anymore or whatever, then fine. But let me just share a really quick story. When I leased my first luxury vehicle, my lease was up and I had some problems with it. And when they called to check in, and my lease was like I said coming up, and they were wanting to know, what my experience was, and I kind of said, it really wasn't as great as I had hoped. I had better expectations of this brand, and the guy pretty much said, "Oh, all right. Well, I just want to remind you that your lease is up. Turn it, And I'm like thinking, my gosh, I guess he took my when I said I had all these problems, he could have still converted me. He still could have tried and he didn't. And so to me, that when I left that phone call conversation, I was like, he doesn't want my business. But he took it as there was no way he was going to get my business. So it was just sort of a mindset thing that I think, we as salespeople, we might make perceptions about things that we shouldn't. And I shared that story because he could have converted me. I could have released or refinanced another one of those vehicles. I didn't because I felt like, you know what, they don't even want my business on top of it. So see ya. And that was that. So something to just keep in mind. The consistency blueprint. Routines outperform motivation 100% because we're not always motivated. We're not always motivated, but we do have to be disciplined. Prep content weekly. Absolutely. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't go into a time block with nothing in front of you to accomplish your goal. If your goal is to do 25 handwritten notes or 10, then make sure you have your mailing list, you have your envelopes and your note cards, your stamps, everything. Make sure you're set up for success. And use templates for speed. Again, you're getting them. So that should be a non-issue. If you're off track with your social media, you haven't posted stuff in a bit, then let's talk about, in a few minutes, we'll talk about being all in, how to shift that. Time management for busy agents, batch content for your day. So time block in a time that you're least likely to get interrupted and go into your week, start making little notes. Oh, this question came up. That's great content for a video. Oh, this one came up. I'll talk about that. Create content in 30-minute blocks to start. Again, content planning for the new year is to start again, especially if you're off track, start sharing weekly layer marketing. Start by recording one video each week. Create a series of Q&As that you've been asked. So if you thinking, well, I wouldn't know what do I even start with? Think of all the questions you've been asked over, or the questions that you think if you're a new agent. Talk to some more experienced agents. What were some of the issues that you've experienced in your real estate career over the last year? What came up for you? Um, and then content ideas for 52 weeks. Again, post the weekly marketing, provide weekly market updates, small business shout outs, weekly tip videos, post testimonials, check into towns when showing homes. So this, you don't even have to have a graphic. You just check into the town, engagement posts, events, and then personal. So right there is 52 weeks. Local authority content, neighborhood tours, market breakdowns. And let's talk about why hyperlocal does work. Number one is it positions you as a local expert. Two is it attracts the right clients, not just views. So, you attract people who live there, want to move there, already feel connected to the area. Great way. I'm telling you, this is a good strategy for your content on social media. And then also it builds trust before the first conversation. People have reached out to me because they got a great sense that I knew that they were going to be in great hands with me. And I did that because I built myself consistently on social media. And really, it comes down to consistency and sharing the layer social media, time blocking for video, checking in, getting, interviewing other businesses, getting more people into the mix, etc. It builds trust before the first conversation correctly. So they know my area. I trust them with this decision. The result is you become the solution before they even have to ask for help. And then it makes your content hard to replace. Hyperlocal content is unique, non-replicable, and impossible to outsource or copy. Again, you're seeing a lot of realtors on social media and a lot of realtors copying their stuff. But if you're putting your own spin on it and it's hyper local, that can't be replicated. You stand out without trying to compete with trends. And then it supports long-term brand growth. The result is trust compounds. It keeps you top of mind for sure. I said earlier we were going to get into storytelling, just a few more minutes. So the storytelling framework that I'd like you to follow is outline the problem, talk about how your solution and how it paid off. So you can take a photo of that screen. I'm not going to go through everything with you, but the problem, outline what the problem was, talk about the process, what the solution was, and what the payoff was. And the new rules for authenticity, things that you want to do to build your trust and be authentic. Obviously, be consistent, educate, share real experiences, speak like a human, don't get so uber scripted, and then set honest expectations. Everything's not puppies and rainbows. That's my phrase. Things that you don't want to do is you don't want to overpromise, you don't want to copy and paste off-brand content. Don't be inauthentic, don't intimidate or pressure, and don't disappear after posting. Again, it's all about authenticity and it's about seeing social media as a way to build your business. It's a business bucket builder, is what I call it. All right. On-camera confidence, practice talking head videos, use scripts until you're comfortable. Really, again, short scripts though, don't go super lengthy on the scripts. Progress over perfection, and as Nike says, just do it. Engagement strategies are comment on local posts. Again, these are people that live in your area. These are the people you want to be connected with. Always be thinking behind every profile is a person who will either benefit from my services or know someone who will. So always keep that mindset. Create a community, not just a following. You make followers feel seen. Host Q&As, create shareable content. Some nurturing strategies are highlight community businesses, events, local life. Reintroduce who you help and how you help them without the hard sell. Um, and then content collaboration ideas, definitely partner with lenders, interview local businesses, collaborate on posts, co-sponsor events, attend grand openings, staying consistent when motivation drops. We're getting ready to wrap up. Motivation fades. Systems don't. Create a process that works even when you don't feel like it. Remember, you're not always motivated, but you must be disciplined. So when motivation dips, reconnect to your why. Go back to simplifying. One post, one idea, batch content when you can. And remember, trust builds quietly over time. Why agents get off track? They're chasing trends instead of being consistent. They treat social media as a side hobby and not a business channel. And they aren't confident on camera. They're doing too much at once. They're all over the place. So again, they post when they feel inspired, but they don't have an actual systematic plan. But here's how to get back on track. Pick one primary platform. I would say even two. Commit to consistency over perfection. Create 3 to 5 content pillars. Batch create your content and reuse the best performing videos. Again, unless it was, timely, specific to a certain time, you can reuse that content and develop an all-in attitude. So what does going all in really look like? One is here's what it looks like. You treat social media more like a storefront. You post even when you're busy, especially when you're busy. You stay visible when you're not actively working, and you act like your next client is watching because they are. You create content with purpose. Every piece of content is building trust, showing expertise. It proves results and it converts to leads. You make it impossible to forget you. You have a weekly minimum standard, and all in looks like a baseline that you don't negotiate. You don't negotiate with it. You follow up with warm leads. You build a content to connections habit, and you use strategy, not vibes. You know what your audience wants. You know your niche. Your 30-day implementation plan is week by week content commitments, your engagement routines, and review checkpoints, action steps to start today. These are things that I want you to start today. Pick your top platforms, define your content buckets, and commit to one posting schedule. Keep it simple and achievable. Don't set yourself up to fail and hold yourself accountable. All right. If you're looking to connect for social media, you can connect with me at the Real Renee Tompkins. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest. If you follow me, I'm glad to follow you back. And I look forward to seeing you at next month's masterclass, which will be Tuesday, the 27th at 12:30. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great month.